The offseason has begun, and that means we are on the verge of doing something no one's done. That is talking Rangers baseball every day during the offseason. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast, and it starts right now. Last year, a blue October had such a different meaning. How different that word blue can be, especially when your uniform color is predominantly blue, as the Rangers went and took it last year and won't have the chance to do so this year, so they are blue. Singing the blues, if you will, in October. Hi there. Welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. John Radigan here with Abby Jones and Jeff Wilson, and we are beginning our brand new off-season version of the DLLS podcast. So it's J-Dub, Abs, Rads, and Queen Katya. Yeah, we've got the Queen in to help us with the first ever off-season podcast. She's a benevolent queen, so we're going to be okay. Don't worry about us.
She was pretty stern about her ad reads right there, though.
Yeah, well, that is true.
We need to be tighter, guys.
She's keeping it. Keeping us on
I got
point.
the feeling she'd whip out a guillotine on you if you don't hit the ad reads right. So we'll see if we can get our ad reads done within time. So much to talk about, really, and we definitely want to get to what's happening in Atlanta right now. If you had a chance to see that game, count yourself lucky. We did and enjoyed every minute of it. We have a very special guest today. You know him as Abby's dad. No, actually, you know him as Todd Jones. Abby knows him as Daddy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Todd Jones.
My man's going to be joining the show.
Yeah, he's going to join us.
So he's spent his last few years with the Detroit Tigers doing color analysis, a little bit of studio work as well. So he's got a pretty great scoop on one of the hottest teams in baseball. We're going to get into that later in the show, but it'll be fun.
It will be fun. We want you to like us. We want you to subscribe, and we want you to chat along with us and let us know what you're thinking about the postseason, what you're thinking about the Rangers as we are just now 24 hours removed from their season ending. And Jeff, you were out there for that. And I would have to say, for a 78-win team, because they started to finish, they were playing better at the end. Their best month was arguably the month of September. That they felt decent, better than we might have expected for a team walking away at the end of a 78-win season.
Yeah, a lot of good things happened in that game. Dustin Harris with his first career homer, but the double was huge. So they celebrated that. They do celebrate the moments, good and bad. That's kind of a Bruce Bochy thing. You celebrate the wins. You recognize the players for what they've done, and it was noisy, and it took us a while to get in the clubhouse because they wanted to celebrate. They do finish on a high note. They're disappointed though to finish. I mentioned it yesterday in the postgame show. I mean, Nathaniel Lowe was not happy. He finished. He had a great September, and he probably really helped himself out as far as cementing himself in the Rangers' plans for 2025. And he was like, we're going home. I didn't help the team this year. He was pretty adamant about. You could tell he was not happy. Marcus Semien, I talked to him on Saturday, another guy who, probably as the team spokesman is tired of answering the questions about what went wrong. Jonah Heim also, wasn't happy. So there's a lot of unhappy campers, but to finish strong, it matters.
And you talked to Dustin yesterday.
Yeah.
What did he have to say about that game?
It's what he trained for his whole life. He doesn't remember touching second base. Those kind of moments that you hear about. That the guys kind of black out when they're going around the bases after their first career homer. But he was these guys don't get these opportunities very much. Dustin Harris has been on the 40-man roster for a couple of years now, and he got called up for the last road trip of the season. He started out hot at AAA, then kind of wallowed, then kind of finished strong. He probably deserved, just because of his roster status, a longer look. I would have called him up before Sandro Fabian, honestly. But he didn't. When you get these opportunities, you got to take advantage of them. Yeah, and he did that, and so he's going to feel great going into next season. And the Rangers, when they show up to spring training, they're going to remember how he finished the season. So you never know what'll happen, what'll shake out. I don't expect him to make the opening day roster, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen in free agency and the offseason he's going to have, the spring he's going to have.
Did he mention if his family was there?
They were there. His parents were there. He's from St. Petersburg, Florida.
Wow.
And his family, and Mark Church is from the Atlanta area, who got called up for the last weekend, and his Church's parents were concerned that they would not be able to get out of Atlanta, but they were able to find a flight that got them to Oakland, to wherever we were, Anaheim, on time Friday. Harris's parents had joined the team in Oakland and stayed with him, so they, I guess, missed the effects of Helene. He said there was some flooding and a lot of guys from Florida and Tennessee, North Carolina, so some concerns there. But yeah, his family was there, and what great moments for the both of them. That's
a great point. Does Corey Seager still have a place in North Carolina?
He's from the Charlotte area, Kannapolis.
Okay.
Where the home of Dale Earnhardt. For people have heard that before. So I think he's unaffected. But Charlotte, you drive an hour west, you're in Hickory. Right. Or 45 minutes west, you're in Hickory, where the Rangers AAA affiliate is, and Asheville is not much further away. So there's a lot of people. Evan Carter lives in Eastern Tennessee, and his hometown's been affected. Elizabethton,
I think Seager lives off-season in Nashville too.
Nashville, yeah. So Nashville's, I don't know, central. It's not eastern, and it's pretty far south. Knoxville, I guess, is the biggest city closer to where the flooding is really at its worst there. But yeah, this is a heck of a situation. Wyatt Langford from Florida, his parents lost power, things like that.
Yeah. And Asheville, North Carolina, is pretty much wiped off the map, essentially. Yeah. Now, Hickory's not far from there. Did we hear? Does Hickory have any?
Hickory seems to be okay. It's it's all in the hills up there, and Asheville, of course, is the Tourists is their name of their club. Famously, Crash Davis signs there at the end of his season in Bull Durham. But yeah, I mean, that's a terrible situation in that part of the country. And Abby, your dad's from Atlanta. I'm sure that you guys know people in Georgia who've been affected. It's just a tough spot, and that was on these guys' minds, I think, a little bit when they were out playing.
No doubt. We forget, right? We forget that these things affect them, and they have people there, and they have concerns and family.
Well, Bruce Bochy is one of the things he does every offseason is he loads up the family in a minivan and drives them to Florida for a little vacation. And he lives in the Nashville area, and I was like, "Are you going to be able to get there? Are the roads clear?" I'm kind of learning a little bit about geography there, because I didn't realize that there was such an overlap between Tennessee and North Carolina, and then which way do the rivers flow?
Yeah,
and, I mean it's.
I lived in Tennessee for a little bit.
Okay, I like Tennessee.
First year out of college, Nashville, Tennessee.
All right.
Worked at Vanderbilt, oddly enough.
There you go.
Yeah, when we used to drive from Michigan to South Carolina to visit family, we went right through Asheville, Tennessee, and then I was a kid. Wasn't really watching the map, but I know we went through Asheville, which is a very touristy town. The nickname of the team there is very appropriate. So, all right, so let's talk about the Rangers offseason a little bit, and then we're going to get to this Mets-Braves wonderful game of baseball this afternoon. But the offseason here, Jeff, is obviously so different. It's longer. That's a good thing in all terms. But it occurs that if you have to narrow it down to two things that really derailed this club this year. It was the inability to hit the fastball, and it was injuries. So how do you address those two things in the offseason?
I don't know that you address injuries. You knew coming into the season, at least with your rotation, that you're going to have guys that weren't going to be there to start the year. So, you knew Scherzer, DeGrom, and Tyler Mahle weren't going to be available. So you tried to load up with some depth. Probably not the depth that you wanted. No offense to Michael Lorenzen, but I think the Rangers really wanted Jordan Montgomery, but that didn't work out money-wise. And Lorenzen was great. He really was a kind of an unsung hero to the team if you want to go back and evaluate the season. But, then John Gray got hurt. Nathan Eovaldi had to spend some time on the injured list. The rotation held up okay. It's the injuries you can't count on with Josh Young getting hit and breaking his arm. And not just a little everyday fracture. It was a really bad fracture. Corey Seager had the hernia deal in spring training and was slow. Nathaniel Lowe had an oblique in spring training and was slow to start the year. So those are the ones you can't count on and can't plan for. You try to have quality depth. It just didn't work out. And you can have injuries or you can have underperformance. You can't have both. And the Rangers couldn't survive. They scored 197 fewer runs than they did last season, or 198.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Mind-boggling.
It really is. I mean, it's a run and a third a game, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot when you play 162 games.
Their numbers were just down across the board. They led the American League in everything last year. Mm-hmm. Everything major they led in. I think they tied the Twins for home runs, but everything else they were solo number one in the categories you care about. And this year it just never materialized.
No, it didn't. They were middle of the pack or worse in most offensive categories this year. So but that particularly they chase the fastball, right? They just don't. There's a lot of guys who have trouble hitting velo. Is that something they'll work on? Is that something they can improve upon?
That's something that Bruce Bochy talked about over the weekend. They have high velo machines. You can go into the cage and before games and hit high velocity. They're going to look at their routines, things that they do, maybe go about spring training a little bit differently, some of the things they do. So their processes are under evaluation. A lot of it, though, is, the hitting coaches are trying to get these guys in position. You saw it with Dlls Garcia. This month, he was hitting pull side homers. Jonah Heim looked better. But like Nathaniel Lowe has always been late on the fastball.
Right.
Ever since the Rangers got him for whatever reason. Now he has great power to the opposite field, and he'll do a lot with some, being late on fastballs. But it's a I don't want to say a pandemic. That kind of has a different meaning out. Endemic, I'm not sure if that's even a word. It's a problem throughout the lineup, though. And so there are things that guys want to work on. You kind of throw Corey Seager out. Corey Seager, he gets to do whatever he wants. He's going to swing at the first pitch, and that's fine. But Marcus Semien wants to get the ball in the air more. Forget being just on time with a fastball. He wants to get the ball in the air more. There are just a lot of things that they have to work on. But yes, you can improve internally. And, this core group with Garcia locked up and Nathaniel Lowe technically still under club control with the arbitration process, if these guys are all coming back, they got to get better. You have to improve yourselves, and they don't need to spend a lot of money on free agency. They really don't. They have the guys that have won a World Series and led the league in baseball despite not hitting the fastball that well. So led the league in offense, whatever I said.
But this is Lowe's last year of arbitration, right?
I know he's got another year after this. He was a Super 2 guy. So
okay. Wow.
Yeah. So, but
he talks in depth about it on his podcast.
He
feels strongly about it.
Yeah.
He made 7.5 this year. Probably get a bump.
10. Yeah.
Bump to 9.5, 10. But
10.
He was projected to get 8.5 this year, and he signed for less, at least according to MLB trade rumors. So anyway, there you go.
All right, so we got lots more coming up. We're going to talk about that game. It's a doubleheader. It's game one is in the books. We'll talk about that a little bit. We also have a very special guest for the better part of the next two segments. We will chat with former closer, former All-Star, former World Series competitor, and Abby's dad. Todd Jones.
Current dad.
Todd Jones joins us on the program. So line up your questions. If you've got a question for Todd Jones, throw that to us in the chat as well. We'd love to hear from you. That's all coming up on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But first, we are going to tell you about a very special product that we like to sell. It's Sleeper. Yeah, Sleeper has given me a 2-foot putt. Absolute 2-foot putt. I will tap this baby in. Jared Goff of my beloved Detroit Lions tonight is a 0.5 is the passing yards. I believe that Jared Goff will have more than a half a passing yard. So I'm loading up, man. I'm loading up. And I asked Jeff, who's got more experience than I do with Sleeper, why'd they give me that? That's automatic. He says they want you to place that into your quiver of things. Your
quiver, great word.
Yeah, thank you. Of things you are deciding on, and I decided on it. So I'm going to do that one. And there's a couple of other picks in that Monday night game. I'll be watching it closely. I'm a Lions fan, and so anyway, I love them on Monday night, and I love Sleeper. So you should get your $100 first deposit match at Sleeper with the code DLLS Rangers.
And then with your Jared Goff money and whatever else you're going to hit, you can turn that into some new flooring with Empire today. We've talked about Empire. I'm looking at the work they did for us in the studio right now. It's fantastic. I'm looking at this and thinking of my floors at home and what the kids have done to them, and thinking we got to make this a priority. With Empire today, you get shop at home convenience, which I really like, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. It's the best place to get new floors. That's all Empire does. You're not going to walk into an Empire store and be asked to buy a toilet or a lawnmower. It's flooring only. These guys are experts. They're pros. You can use a virtual floor designer. Great way to see the new floors in any space in your house. And it's the way to go. It really is. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off when they use the discount code DLLS. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/DLLS for details.
All right, that's beautiful.
Perfect.
We've got that done, and we've got more to tell you about with regard to this game today. Abby was here in the office longer than the rest of us. She had to keep a chance to keep a closer eye on it. We, of course, had it up in our watch room up there. We've had game one of that Mets and Braves doubleheader going on, and it was just an unbelievable game, Abs, because the Mets couldn't score off the rookie Swallenbach. Is that how we say Swallenbach?
Yeah, his numbers this year have been
ridiculous.
fantastic.
He's really
ridiculous. Good. Yeah, and they couldn't do anything. He pitches 7 innings and shuts them out.
Yeah, that was probably the best game of the regular season, I think. And, I watched the Georgia-Alabama game over the weekend, and it was like that, but it was even better because there was you just thought no way that the Mets are going to give this up or the Braves are going to come back or vice versa, and it happened literally 4 times. So, it was I'm just ready for October because it brings up a statement that actually our GM came up with. Has a team ever celebrated a postseason clinch at the same stadium on the same day?
Yeah, I don't believe that's ever happened, and it could today.
Maybe it's happened. Well, maybe, I don't know. I think it's happened.
All right.
But
so we'll try to research
but probably
that.
not on the last day of the season.
Yeah, that's the thing. So this doubleheader,
Down to the wire.
This doubleheader came fraught with possibilities for both teams and for the Diamondbacks, right? If either team swept, the Diamondbacks were in. So the Diamondbacks are sitting there watching game 2 as huge Mets fans, because if the Mets sweep, that means the Braves are out and the Diamondbacks are in. The Diamondbacks would be the 6th seed and the Mets would be the 5th. If the Braves win, that means they split. That means all 3 teams have the same record at the end of the season, and the Mets and the Braves both have the tiebreaker over the Diamondbacks. So if the Braves come back and win Game 2 of this thing, then the Diamondbacks will be out. But it looked so clear that the Mets were going to lose this game after they were down 3-0 going into the eighth inning. And then they scored 6 runs in the 8th inning to take a 6-3 lead, Jeff.
Yeah, and and they weren't doing it against you and me. They're doing it against Atlanta's best relievers, including Iglesias. And but then the Mets bring in their horse, and, and he gives it up. So it ended up being 8-7. The Braves are leading early in the second game, 1-0. The Mets, as could be expected, they didn't start some guys that started Game 1. For instance, God dang it, Francisco Lindor,
who hit the home run, by the way. Yeah,
he's out. He's been dealing with a back issue. So you kind of look at the lineup, and it's not a spring training lineup, but it's probably not the best that the Mets could roll out. But anyway, it's 1-0 after 2. The Mets have yet to have a base runner.
Yeah, but that's the thing, that the Braves also scratched Chris Sale.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Which they were planning on using Sale, and they scratched him because of back spasms, which is not like trying to save him for tomorrow.
No, because the Braves, if they don't win, they go home.
There is no tomorrow. Yeah. That's right. And it seems like maybe this is legit. Chris Sale can't go today, so what makes us think he'd be able to go tomorrow? So it certainly deals a blow to the Braves' chances if you can't have the guy who's the likely Cy Young Award winner in the National League go for you in this wild card round, or in this all-important doubleheader that basically decides so much. It decides the fate of 3 different teams.
Well, Grant Holmes is starting today. He's not bad. He's not Chris Sale, going to say the obvious there, but he isn't bad. So, I think that are the Mets going to, try to sweep? I think it's about matchup then. I don't think this is a throwaway game for the Mets by any means. There's definitely still a reason, to play here, put your best foot forward and contend. But I guess if you're a Mets fan, do you want to win Game 2 to knock out the Braves, or do you want to lose Game 2 to play the Brewers instead of the Padres?
Yeah, I'm not sure they care about. They might be doing some of that stuff, but right now they're happy that they're in.
Well, as I recall, Luis Severino was scheduled to pitch for the Mets in Game 2, but he did not. He's Lucchesi. I don't know if he's an heir of the boot fortune, or if he's related to former Rangers manager Frank Lucchesi, but he's starting. So anyway, it's. I don't know. There is some strategy involved here. You have to know what's best for your team. A trip to Milwaukee would seem to be a lot more favorable than a trip to San Diego.
True.
Much shorter flight, that's for sure. And then for Chris Sale, if he is going to travel, trust me, from experience, you do not want to be on a plane with a back issue.
Maybe he can lay down on the floor.
He'll be able to lay down, but nevertheless, I'm not sure that's an ideal situation for the Braves, sticking him on a plane for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So high drama there. It's a very fun situation that's developing with the teams, and we'll see what happens. And of course, nobody's sitting on pins and needles more than the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are just wondering their fate. They have no control over their fate. They're just sitting there wondering their fate. Bag packed, right? No doubt.
Yeah.
Bag packed and ready to go. Just like, and it harkens back to the Rangers when they had, most of them had enough clothes to take them through Baltimore last year, right? They went to Seattle. I think there was a city before Seattle.
There was.
So they went to L.A., let's say, and then Seattle.
It was Anaheim,
and then they went to Tampa for potentially 3 games. It was only 2. And they all had enough stuff to take them through the first 2 games in Baltimore, which was supreme confidence. And it all paid off.
Yeah, they were gone 2 weeks. It was a long road trip, the longest one of their careers, and no complaints now. Of course, it all worked out, but and you go from Seattle, you go to LA, which is beautiful, then you go to Seattle, which is not beautiful.
Especially at the end of September.
You go to Tampa, across the country, which is beautiful weather-wise, and then you go to Baltimore, which at this time of year is a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
So, there's an opportunity to catch a cold.
Yeah.
All kinds of things. But, so I'm sure the Diamondbacks are packed for a long trip.
Yep, they are confidently and fingers crossed sitting there hoping. So during this offseason, we're going to have lots of special guests on the program. This is day one of the offseason, and we thought we would start it with a bang. We'll start it with a former MLB All-Star. We will be calling this segment, which will be a recurring segment during the course of our offseason broadcast. This segment is going to be called Keeping Up with the Joneses. Now, you think, well, you can keep up with the Joneses every day. Abby Jones sits right next to you. But if we keep up with Abby, we're just keeping up with one Jones. If we keep up with Abby and Todd, then we're keeping up with the Joneses.
And technically keeping up with the Youngs, too. See what I did there?
Nice. I like the way you did that.
See what I did there.
Yeah. And, of course, anytime we're talking to Todd, his lovely wife, Michelle, will be nearby somewhere. So we're really keeping up with the Joneses. And so we're excited to do that. We're excited to have Todd Jones as a regular part of our program, somewhat regular anyway. And as Abby said, he's done quite a bit of work in television for Bally Detroit. And he's done the studio show. He's been in the booth with Jason Benetti, their new play-by-play guy this year. So really fun to have him and his now broadcasting chops with us. So do we have Todd yet? We have Todd. Let's bring Todd in.
You are looking live.
Yep, you're looking live at Todd Jones here in a second. And Todd is a guy who was in Major League.
He's not driving. My mother is driving.
Michelle's driving. And Todd was in Major League Baseball for 16 years. 9 teams technically, although 2 of those were the Tigers. So really 8 teams, but he was with the Tigers 2 different times. First-round draft pick of the Astros back in 1989, an All-Star in 2000. He was the Rolaids Relief Fireman of the Year in 2000. Had a great year, set the Tigers record for 42 out of 46 saves in 2000, and of course went to the World Series and threw to Pudge Rodriguez, one of Rangers' favorites, in 2006. And his biggest claim to fame is he is the dad of Abby Jones. Todd Jones, welcome.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited. First of all,
you're screaming.
J-Dub and Raz, just to let you guys know, I signed up. I'm now a diehard.
Nice,
fantastic.
And I want to give a shout out to Coop, and I can't remember the other person that calls, Natalie calls all the time.
A lot of comments.
So shout out to those guys, and want to say thanks for letting me hang out with you guys. So I hope you're all doing well.
Hey,
so
John,
I got to tell you real quick though. Okay. I've worked, as you know, Todd. I worked with Abby at Bally too, and there's Natalie too jumping in. She's thanking you. This young woman, Todd, did not inherit your facial hair, which is a good thing, but she did inherit the work ethic that I know you have to make it to the major leagues and play for 16 years. This is one of the hardest working young women I have seen from the Bally days all the way through here at ALLCITY. She does a great job for us. You have a lot to be proud of, you and Michelle both.
Well, thank you so much. I can't take hardly any of the credit. I think that goes to Michelle, but she does enjoy what she's doing, and I think she's pretty good at it. So she definitely does have the work ethic. So you just got to put your time in and learn from a couple of pros like you guys, and that's gonna help things out. So it's a win-win for everybody involved, and we're just excited to be a part of it. And me being a diehard, I can't wait to try to win some tickets to go to spring training. That'd be a lot of fun.
All right, let's get into baseball.
Look at her.
Her face is red.
She got a little blush there.
Yeah,
I like it.
We're talking about the baseball games at hand. Let's get to it, guys. Dad, you've had a front row seat to these Detroit Tigers. You feel some type of way about the Tigers. You've shared that if you do anything in your career after playing, it would be pretty much with the Tigers only. tell me about this season, because you've been in that exact same clubhouse when you're one of the worst teams in baseball, and then now you have so much success. What is it about this gritty, scrappy group of young kids?
Well, I had a chance to do probably close to 50 pre and post games, did some broadcasting of the season, so I got a chance to hang around and watch these guys. At the trade deadline, I thought they were dead. Everybody in baseball thought the Tigers were dead. They traded Jack Flaherty, one of their better pitchers, to the Dodgers, and they subtracted. But what we didn't know was what AJ Hinch knew was his ability to mix and match starting pitchers, Tarek Skubal and Montero. Kadar Montero. Those were the two inning eaters, and then the other 3 days he did what's called openers for the first couple innings, and then he put a bulk guy in based on the matchups, and it found a very interesting way to go about it, a lot like the Tampa Bay Rays did in 19 when they made their run. But AJ's been very creative. Unlike the Rangers, we were listening to the show yesterday about where you're going to put Josh Smith and things like that. The Rangers have anchors at shortstop and second base, so the Tigers have a lot more flexibility because they don't have those two premier players like Seager and like Simeon. So AJ does a wonderful job of just mixing and matching, putting guys in situations where they can succeed. And he flopped about every ace on every river on every table in Vegas, and ended up since August 15th going 33-11. And it's just really incredible. It's actually kind of what the Rangers did last year when they played their last 10 or 15 games like they were playoff games. But these guys, they don't have the big names that the Rangers have. But they're in a 3-game series. They're going to give Houston all they want because Tarek Skubal is a definite Cy Young winner. He won the Triple Crown, and he kills right-handed hitters because he does such a good job of missing on the inside part of the plate to the right-handers at about 99 at their neck, and then he's got a devastating changeup. So you got to keep the righties off the bases for the Astros. So Tucker and Alvarez can't really do a lot. That's going to be the game plan in game one, and then if they find a way to win game one, so that's a very interesting series. A 3-game series in the playoffs is super stressful. And can line up with anybody in baseball.
Lots more with Todd Jones is coming up as we get to more questions about this Tigers team and questions about his career and sort of the life in the playoffs and going to the World Series. But first, on the DLLS Rangers podcast, Abs.
It's time to talk about Indeed because you need to get on Indeed if you need to hire. Indeed is the place to go for everything that you would need with hiring, and they don't search, they match. That is why they have such success in finding, candidates for the job. 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, are matching and getting put in the position for the job. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so that you can connect with candidates faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to recent Indeed data. So in the little bit that we've been talking, there's already been 23 hires on Indeed. Listeners of this show will get a $75 job sponsored credit and just gives your job more visibility, more views, and puts you in front of the best candidates, and then they'll match you. So go to Indeed.com/AllCity to get that $75 credit.
You're darn right. It's worth it. How about FOCO, too? You could take some of the credit money that you have and use it for FOCO items. They're so great. These are some of the best sporting items you can find. Get fitted for the best gear around. Hoodies, shorts. They also have signs, bobbleheads, everything in between. All kinds of great items, memorabilia, things that remind you of your favorite team. Going to a basketball game or a hockey game, that's great. Show off your love for your team with a branded friendship bracelet. Yeah, they've got those too. Whether it's jackets or beachwear, even overalls, believe it or not, there is almost something for everyone and every occasion. It's at FOCO. So FOCO has donated even a few of the items back here that you see behind us. We got some of those from FOCO. So it's great. Use FOCO, check it out, and get your discount from FOCO today. And now, let's get back to Todd Jones. Jeff, you've barely had a chance to talk to him.
Yeah, thanks,
J-Dub, go.
You were talking about the using the opener and then the bulk reliever. A guy who I saw with in the games against the Rangers, who I really like, is Tyler Horton. It seems like he's kind of an unsung hero to this club. Can you talk about his contributions?
Well, sure. Yeah, he's the Swiss Army knife. I was talking about it during the pre-games this season because this guy was the only guy for the Tigers this year, and one of about 4 or 5 that I can think of off the top of my head that pitched in every inning of a game this year. He started 8 or 9 games. He came in the 4th inning to go 3 innings. He got a hold and he had 7 saves. He pitched incredible. So we were joking, do we give him the Tiger Cy Young or do we give him a Purple Heart? Because it's just difficult to maintain, in my opinion. It's difficult to maintain that throughout your career. But what he's been able to do, and he's a good old boy from the Panhandle of Florida, so he'll take that ball anytime that you want to give it to him. But he's worth his weight in gold for the Tigers this year, and a lot like Urea for the Rangers. He's a guy that can come in. We saw it this season when he backed up Jack Leiter in his start, and then he's able to start. He can also be late in the game. And so when you have a guy like that on your team, you're able to keep the opposition guessing, and it helps your team go a lot farther.
Yeah, this team is so young too. I mean, he's one of many young guys. The oldest guy is Kenta Maeda. He's the only guy born in the '80s. It just seems like this is an opportunity ahead of this team. Like maybe this is the start of the window. I know the Rangers felt that way, but they're a veteran team. It seems like this is a team that has a chance to
be good for a while.
To be good in what's a really good division.
Well, one thing that's really interesting about how Detroit, I feel like, does kind of things right now with Chris Ilitch in about year number 5 of taking over the reins of his father's franchise. Chris has always done a great job of going down before he goes up, meaning investing in the minor leagues, investing in facilities, making sure that they get high round quality draft picks, and then when the time is right, you start to add prominent players through free agency, and I don't know if this is the Tigers' window to start. But I think that this team, this season, the Tigers have earned the right for Mr. Ilitch to look into maybe your first notable free agent, and then start to build, because they are technically the youngest baseball team in the big leagues, and that's with Jake Rogers, who's the catcher, and then Kenta Maeda. But my gosh, Riley Green's 23 years old. Parker Meadows is 23 or 22 years old. They've got the guy that they picked right in front of Wyatt Langford, a guy named Max Clark,
Right.
That's a high school kid that everybody's super excited about. He hasn't gotten out of A ball yet, but he killed 2 levels of A ball this year, so they're excited about him. And really,
Jackson Jobe made his debut too.
Yeah, Jackson Jobe came up. He's the #1 prospect in minor league baseball. What's interesting at the end of the day, this is a $85 to $95 million payroll, depending on how you market the numbers. And they're, if they beat the Astros, I don't know what the Astros payroll is, but they're going up against the Yankees, and they're sitting at over $200 or $300 million, and it's just kind of a little bit of a perfect storm, but it's also a little bit of a start of a bunch of really good young players that have an opportunity to be around for a while.
Yeah.
Dad, my dad was in the 2006 World Series. 2005 was Verlander's rookie year. You've spent a great deal of your time with Justin Verlander, and I think you had a big hand in his rookie season. And what do you think the matchup is going to be like for him? And then also being in Detroit, what are the fans of Detroit? Are they mad at Ver? Are they kind of excited to watch this? Like, what do people of Detroit kind of think about this series at hand?
No, I think everybody's so excited in Detroit because y'all got to remember. You guys were focused on the Rangers, and they were 7 games under 500 going into August 27th, and they ended up making the playoffs. So I think they're so excited to the fans to just be there. But I do think that AJ is excited to play the Astros because I think he's got a, because of what happened in 17 with the things that went on with that club, he wants to show that he knows how to win. And so there's got to be some satisfaction with that. As far as Verlander is a natural. He's like Max. He's like Nathan Eovaldi. Those guys are trained killers. If you put them on the mound, they want to kill whoever is in the box. And he doesn't take any less or greater joy doing it to the Tigers. He's just hoping that he's healthy enough to be able to be impactful one more time to go through the playoff run, because he's been in more playoffs than he's going to be in. You can put it that way. And he's a Hall of Famer, and there's no question about that. But, he's one of those special guys like DeGrom and like Max and like Nathan that are cut out of different cloth. So, you give him the ball and wind him up, he's going to go until his arm falls off.
Yeah.
Hey, just watching the Tigers get on the plane yesterday, I saw some video of that and stuff, Todd, and you could just see and feel the excitement these young kids feel. Like, wow, we made it, and they weren't even sure where they were going. Was it going to be back to Baltimore? Was it going to be to Houston? It depended on the outcome of the final day. Did you have a playoff run where it was like that for your group, where like it was almost such a surprise that it was like as exciting as what we feel from these Tigers?
Well, early in my career when I was with the Astros, we went down to the last day of the season, and we had to win, and the Colorado Rockies had to lose to force a 1-game playoff. We ended up winning in Chicago and Wrigley Field. I got the save on the last day of the season. And then we went into the locker room, just like Arizona is doing today, to cheer for, I think it was the San Francisco Giants. We were the biggest Giants fans ever. But Dante Bichette and Vinny had different plans, and they ended up winning the game. But then I think when you look at the overall season, we kind of took in 2006, we had the opportunity. Nobody really expected us to do a whole lot, and our team probably doesn't make the playoffs without Joel Zumaya, who was a rookie, and Justin Verlander, who was a rookie, because Ver was rookie of the year, and Joel Zumaya threw a 101 mile an hour slide step and was just incredible as a setup guy, for me. But it's just exciting times. It's good because it's it's another fresh market for Major League Baseball. And these guys, they deserve Mr. Ilitch to take a look at them and say, all right, you guys are close. You guys have done the work. Let's get a free agent, but then get a chance to have the country take a look at these guys. But the fear is with young guys that they get in those bright lights, and then they try to do things too much. And that's the one great thing about this Tigers staff is they've got some coaches that can help keep these guys in the moment, and being in the playoffs is all about keeping staying in the moment at hand, and going pitch by pitch, even with the pitch clock, slowing everything down, because a bad hop or a bad defensive shift, you can lose and be out, and that's how razor thin it is.
I appreciate the Blake Street Bombers reference with Castilla and Bichette. my parents were original season ticket holders for the Rockies, so yeah, I remember them well.
Dad, I was gonna say the Rangers tie, with Jace Young. Josh said he's gonna try to attend all of the playoff games that he can because Jace gave him that support last year. What have you seen from the kids so far?
Well, I mean, Jace is another one of those guys that just gives people options. He's a guy he's just like Josh. Excuse my French, but he's just piss and vinegar, just like Josh Young is. He's a firecracker, a little Texas Tech guy that's willing to run through a brick wall to help the team win. There's a lot of those guys because, when you're young and you don't know what you're actually doing, ignorance is bliss sometimes. So, that's a good thing about all of these young guys. But, they've got some guys to build around. It's exciting, but you just hope for a good run and see what happens.
Well, it's been great chatting with you, Todd. We appreciate it. We love keeping up with the Joneses, and we'll definitely try to make this a semi-regular part of the off season if you're up for it. Abby told us you'd be up for it.
It sounds great. I want to ask J-Dub one question before I leave. I'll just be like an old school radio call-in guy. I'll just hang up and listen.
All right.
J-Dub, you were talking about yesterday the integrity of the game and stuff. How can there be integrity of the game with Atlanta and the Mets today? I mean, what's the deal? If you're the Mets, do you throw off? And I mean, you got to save your guy for tomorrow, but do you want to knock the Braves out? It's going to come down to the matchups. Do you want to play Arizona or somewhere down the line, or do you want to deal with Atlanta? I was just wondering, because you were talking about it yesterday. I was just wondering what you thought.
No, it's a good point, and you look at the Mets lineup here. First of all, the guy, the Braves pitcher Holmes is throwing a perfect game through 4 innings. So in the decisive game, the Rangers have a guy, or I'm sorry, the Mets have a guy, Luis Angel Acuna, the former Rangers prospect, batting leadoff. Not Francisco Lindor. Now he's been injured, but you're right. I mean, would you rather fly across the country? Would you rather go to Milwaukee? So and then you asked the Padres yesterday. The Padres benefit from losing that game. Did AJ Preller, who from experience I know you don't put anything past him, did he make a call to the dugout and say, all right, that's it? And it's the Diamondbacks last year did it too. The Rangers won game 162. If the Astros lose that game to the Diamondbacks, the Rangers win the division. The Diamondbacks didn't play any of their regulars. So there's a definite, maybe it's a shift. Maybe it's the old school guys with scouts getting laid off and all this stuff now. New guys coming in, advanced scouts who've never played the game. Maybe that's kind of a shift, but there's definitely some things going on that probably wouldn't fly with a lot of older guys.
Well, if Pete Alonso wasn't going to play and Lindor's not going to play, if I'm in Arizona, I'm livid. But then again, like the other side of that coin is Arizona, you had your shot. You had a lousy April and May. So I guess you have to just take what's given to you. But,
yeah,
I'm kind of in your boat, J-Dub, about playing it out and playing it out right. Just what if all he did yesterday was a pro move,
Right.
and you guys hammered that yesterday. So I was just curious. I hope y'all have a good day. Thanks for having me on.
All right,
Our
we've got
pleasure.
it.
Great to talk to you,
Love you
Todd.
guys. Tell my best buddy good luck.
Yep.
Thanks, Michelle. Good wheel work.
Yeah, very good wheel
My
work.
dad was not driving. I'll preface it again.
Yeah, we'll emphasize that. We'll do it again soon. But for right now, it's time for us to remind you we've got one more segment to go. We're going to talk about the big picture of Major League Baseball headed into these playoffs on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But first, Abs.
First, we need to talk about merchandise because we are supposed to be getting some shirts soon, and J-Dub's going to model them for you. J-Dub has about 4 shirts on the way, but they're soft, they are fashionable, they're reliable, they are cool. They have Cowboys, Mavs, Rangers, Stars, TCU. Is there
SMU in Texas?
SMU in Texas.
I think there's a wing shirt.
And there's a wing shirt. So quite literally anything you want. And get this, if you're a fan of the Chicago Bears, just go to the Chicago store. I don't know why you would be, but we have other locations too. So if you got family and friends in Denver, Phoenix, Chicago, or is that it?
Philly.
Philly. Then you can get a gift card and send it their way. But go to alldlls.com. You actually get 10% on your first order when you do an online order and submit your email. And you get a free shirt when you become a diehard. Sorry, Rad, stole the thunder. Go to alldlls.com.
Speaking of diehard, obviously, if Todd Jones can become a diehard,
right?
There's no reason why you can't be a diehard. I hope I'll be curious on what shirt he picked out.
I didn't ask. I will ask.
We'll see what happens
next time. Yeah,
he probably needs to be a little bit careful with Rangers gear just because of who his employer is. But that's fine. Anyway, become a diehard. You go to alldls.com/join-diehard. You get access to everything, written content that's behind the paywall. You get access to our events that we're going to have, our stadium takeovers, our watch parties, hopefully our trip to spring training, which we need to start hammering on again. You also get a 20% discount off of all merch. You get the free shirt that Abby mentioned. There's a Discord lounge. You get a membership card. There's all kinds of stuff, and it's an ad-free experience. So once again, go to alldlls.com/join-diehard and become a diehard member today.
We love that. We want all the diehards. We want to be able to call each and every one of you, Coop and Natalie and Ben and all the people who are regulars. We want to be able to call you diehards. You're our diehards, man. And you know what a diehard is? Someone who's like diehard, like,
they're diehards.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's great. So, so much to look forward to in this postseason. As Abby was saying right at the beginning of the show, just the whole idea of October baseball. First of all, it's super easy for any Rangers fan to remember the excitement of last year. Obviously, right now, the potential for that is present in so many cities. But somehow it just seems like in New York, when the Yankees have the number 1 seed, there is a confidence, an arrogance, and yet excitement, right?
Sure.
The team that has won so many championships.
They are the Yankees.
Well, it brings a lot of attention to baseball, and baseball needs attention. They need to reach out to their young audience, young viewers. The Yankees have great star players. Aaron Judge, obviously. Juan Soto is a young guy. He's about to be a first-time free agent and make a pile of money, but he's like 26. He's been playing forever. Garrett Cole's a little older, but reigning Cy Young winner. This team is very good. They've had some October bugaboos though here in the past. Same thing with the Dodgers on the other side, where they have the biggest star in the world. I like I'd like to see how he's going to do, Ohtani. Not to divert from the Yankees, but to have a marquee team in the postseason. I know baseball loves it, to be in the number 1 market. I mean, the Mets are 20 minutes away on a good traffic day. So I mean, to have two New York teams is a dream for MLB, but to have the LA, Philly's a big market.
Mhm.
This is a good time. This is a good postseason for MLB to have the big market teams that spend, but then to have the smaller market teams like the Royals,
Yeah.
Tigers, the Indians, who and the Brewers, who play baseball the right way, have to out scout other teams, have to find their advantage. Usually it's in the bullpen or with platoon players. Platoon players don't necessarily get you very far in the postseason offensively, but it's a nice mishmash of clubs.
Could you believe Todd's point? The Tigers' payroll is like 85 or it's under 100 million.
I looked it up.
I did not know.
I looked up what he said.
Yeah.
The adjusted payroll this year for the Tigers is 98 million. Their highest paid player is Kenta Maeda at 14 million.
Oh my God.
That's the highest paid.
Highest paid player is 14
what was the
million.
Rangers 235 this year?
It was big. The Astros, their total adjusted payroll is 255 million.
Right.
So they're above the luxury tax threshold.
Yeah.
Their highest paid player is Jose Altuve at 31.5.
Right.
Just ahead of Alex Bregman at 30.5.
Jeez.
So
wow.
Verlander, they're not paying him that much because the Mets are paying half of roughly half of that salary. They paid their closer $19 million, the Astros. So their closer is more than the Tigers' highest paid player.
Yeah.
Ryan Presley makes as much as Maeda, 14 million as an eighth inning setup guy.
Yeah.
So there are some definite differences here. And, Houston is, of course, a big market.
And what is the Yankees' that adjusted payroll? Is that on that list?
I can find it for you.
Yeah, because, again, that's probably going to be, so that's 255.
Mm-hmm.
I'll bet you, as your dad indicated, Abs, I mean, it's probably the Yankees north of 300 when you figure all the guys that they've got.
Well, let's take a look. These numbers are according to Sport Track. 309 million. With Judge making 40, Garrett Cole 36, Stanton 32, Soto 31 in his last year of arbitration. Carlos Rodon 27,833,000. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 6. Is that 5? 5 guys making north of 25 million.
Soto's over 30, and he hasn't become a free agent.
Yeah, he's gonna make. I don't know.
Well, he deserves it.
It won't be Ohtani money, but it's going to be huge because he's so young.
He deserves
he's
it.
26, so he's going to make a lot of money. Whoever gives it to him.
Yeah, that's
that's unbelievable, and that's fun. And truly, I mean, it back in the day, it kind of I think would have seemed like a beatdown to have the Yankees and the Dodgers, kind of like they always had. You always had the Sixers and the Lakers, or the Celtics and the Lakers. But man, I think this year, given you got Shohei Ohtani on one side, and you got Aaron Judge on the other side, and everything else that comes with those two teams. I think that'd be a pretty fun World Series matchup.
That would feed families for centuries.
It might.
Like seriously, it's going to be if it's Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, it will be the most viewed World Series of all time.
I think it would. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got a good opportunity. I met foreign viewers don't count in that. Because as you know, nobody like when the Blue Jays are in the postseason, MLB doesn't care for that because they don't figure into the U.S. market ratings. But to your point about the Yankees and the Dodgers in the 50s, 52, 53, the Yankees beat the Brooklyn Dodgers in the World Series. 55, the Dodgers turned the tables. 56, it was the Yankees. So there's so much history there,
right?
And it dates back to the greats of the game. Jackie Robinson, Duke Snider, Mickey Mantle, of course, Whitey Ford, Yogi Berra. Just, and I'm sure I'm leaving out guys. I mean, Don Larson. I mean, Don Larson pitched the perfect game in the 56 World Series to beat them. There's the famous play where Jackie Robinson stole home and Yogi Berra loses his mind. So there's so much history there, and like I think I mentioned it last week. I really would love to see that. Just
I would too.
It would give people an appreciation of baseball's past. Of course, this is before the Dodgers moved to the West Coast. But man, it would be. I really think it would be fun.
Yeah, it was crosstown rivals back in the day. It was really
I want to
unbelievable.
Get y'all's wild card predictions.
Okay, so of course I'm picking
Detroit,
the Tigers.
Houston. Jeff?
I'm going to go with Houston.
Yeah, you should, but I'm taking the Tigers anyway.
I mean, head and heart, two different things.
Right.
I'm following my heart. I'm going Detroit.
Yeah, never bet with your heart, but
yeah. Kansas City, Baltimore.
It's a good one. I think Kansas City's been struggling.
Yeah, I think they're kind of one and
Baltimore's got to have a bad taste in their mouth for losing those 2, home games to the Rangers. I'm going to go with the Orioles there.
Yep.
I really like the Royals starting pitching. I'm going to go with the Royals in this one.
All right.
I just think that their pitching staff in general is better than the Orioles right now. I mean, Corbin Burns is great. Don't get me wrong, but if they have a lead late, how are they gonna figure that out?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I'm gonna go with the O's.
Okay.
Going.
I mean,
with
they're a good club. Yeah, they can have a chance to score a ton of runs.
Yeah.
And then, well, I mean, we got to see who wins this Braves game.
Right. Oh, that's right. We can't decide on the National League.
We will do that tomorrow.
Whoever wins, I like the wild card team against Milwaukee, and I like the Padres against the wild card team.
Yeah, okay.
So that's how I see it.
Interesting. So you like either the Mets. It would either be the Mets or the Braves, right? If they split, yeah. You like either the Mets or the Braves over the Brewers.
Yeah. Now if you put in the Diamondbacks, that kind of changes things. So I'm betting.
Yeah, but the Diamondbacks would only play the Padres.
Yeah. Oh, right.
I think they'd be the sixth. Yeah, they'd be the sixth.
They would be Arizona and Milwaukee.
Oh, they'd only play
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
So
they just played in Milwaukee, took care of them. So I would take Milwaukee in that situation.
Yeah.
Milwaukee has a great bullpen.
They do.
They really do. And bullpens are so important to these games.
Yeah.
You can just shorten a game
to about 6 or 7 innings.
Now, but if they split the first 2 games and both teams have got heavy bullpen usage, then it's trouble for game 3. Game 3 is game 3 is whatever happens because if the bullpens are worn out, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, and then prediction on this last game. I know we're in the middle of it, but
I think the Braves will hold on. I don't think.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Braves.
I don't know that the Mets are going to throw Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning if they have a lead.
Right.
And right now they've got something brewing. 2-1, no out to start the 5th.
The Braves. I mean, the Mets do.
The Mets do. Yeah,
the Mets do. Okay. All right. We'll be keeping an eye on that. We'll be keeping an eye on all things Rangers. We'll be keeping an eye on all things Major League Baseball all throughout the offseason with you. We appreciate you chatting along. We appreciate Abby's dad, Todd Jones, joining us. Lots of guests throughout the course of the offseason and lots of baseball talk, lots of hot stove league talk. Thank you so much for joining us for J-Dub and Abs. I'm Rads. Oh, yeah, and don't forget about the Queen over here. We'll have a what we call an audience with the Queen after the show. So pray for us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, y'all.
We all silly like the mayor.